the output of this firm, the competitive firm, we always assume that the competitive firm moves to profit maximization. So if I said, it could be at an output which wasn't profit maximization, but when I ask you, what is competitive equilibrium? What is the output of the firm if the price is $50? What is the output of this firm if the price is $50? And your answer is? Huh? 90. Everybody? Your first thing, price is 50, you find where marginal cost equals 50, 90. All right. What is the total? Actually, I'll do this. Strip this, it's a little bit easier. What is the output of the firm if the price is 55? The answer is 100. Everybody, look at it. What is the total cost of the firm if the price is 50? What is the total cost of the firm if the price is 50? 50 times? Well, you can see that 50.25. So 50.25 times 100. 50. So the point is, first of all, at 50, you discover this is the output, right? And then you go down like this. The total cost is 50.25 because it's the average cost per unit times 100 units. What is the economic profit or loss of this firm? What is the economic profit or loss of this firm? Right here on this column, what is the economic profit or loss? What is the total revenue of this firm? What is the total revenue of this firm? 5,500. What is the total cost of this firm? 50,25. The difference is 975, or is it? No, 475, which we could find by 55 minus 50.25, which is 4.75 times 100, which is 475, right, everybody? What is the fixed cost of this firm? What is the fixed cost of this firm? Focus on it and tell me. Who was the answer? Huh? It would be 50.25 minus 31, which would be 1975, 1,975, which should be the same all the way along. Not necessarily, because sometimes it's a little hard to make it all work out. But the point is, you just use your rule. Now, the first question says, which screwed everybody up, what is price and output at competitive equilibrium? What is price and output at competitive equilibrium? If we're at competitive equilibrium, what is price and output? Huh? What is it? Is it 67.5? Where did you see that? Oh yeah, I gotta bring myself. What is it? Sorry? 67.5? Okay, but here's the price. When the price is 67.5, are we in competitive equilibrium? There's the price of 67. Remember, this is a demand function going down. When the price is 67.5, are we in equilibrium? No, because marginal cost is not equal to price. At equilibrium, competitive equilibrium, price equals supply and supply and demand. Right? So this is the answer, 60 and 60. Everybody? All right. Now, I'm going to ask you a really simple question. I'll probably ask it on this upcoming exam. And I'll be interested in how much money you put on it, just for interest's sake. So the output of the firm when the price is 60 is 110. Price equals marginal cost. The output of the firm when the price is 50 is 90. Price equals marginal cost. What is the output of the firm when the price equals 10? What is the output of the firm when the price equals 10? move it up to, yes?
What does it operate?
Sorry?
What does it
Why isn't the firm operate? I'm looking at it, I see at 10, when price equals marginal cost, that's at 10 units, is it not?
Yeah.
But
What's less than the average variable?
it's less than the average variable cost. What's the reason? Now, I hope that you have it, you may not, I'll put something up this. You need to look at these tables and understand that this is just information that we find your way, right? Actually, the same ideas of the diagrams, the same ideas of the table. Okay. Now then, where were we? This is a little bit harder. Okay, all this stuff like that. We'll leave producer surplus for the moment. Oh yeah, producer surplus, by the way, is simply the difference between the cost of producing an extra unit of the commodity and the price that producers receive. It's the difference between the market price, as you were, and the marginal cost. So producer surplus would be this area. Here's consumer surplus. This is producer surplus. It represents, by the way, the operating cost of the firm. All right? Now, okay, folks. Now we're going to get serious. We're going to see what this has done. Everybody, piece of paper. Let's do this. All right. I want you to draw. Now, by the way, I'm going to draw something. You tell me why I do this. I'm going to draw, I'll help you out to start with. I want to draw the cost functions of the firm that are relevant. So watch me draw this. First of all, I'm going to put cost per unit over here. This is Q down here. Now, I'm going to draw the average cost for the moment. It's not important why I draw it first. That you'll see in a minute, perhaps I'm just trying to emphasize something. This is the average cost. Say like this. Although I'm going to make that black in a second because I don't want that color. AC0. All right. Now I'm going to draw the marginal cost. Look at it very carefully, everybody. This is the way we're going to draw marginal cost from now on. Tell me why. What happened to my table? Huh? It doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because the tail is below minimum. Don't put this in. I'll put it in for the moment. The tail is below minimum average variable cost. Right? It would be down here somewhere. And no part of the marginal cost curve is interesting below minimum average variable cost. Now, by the way, you also see that, as I say, I'll draw this now a little bit differently. Just for the moment, just watch. You see, you kind of get the same replication that we had before, which is this. It's odd that I'll have to just shift this around and we'll see what I can do with this. Gotta get this thing. Okay, like that. Now, everything below the tail is uninteresting to us economically because the firm would never produce it. But you'll notice, by the way, below minimum average variable cost, marginal cost is falling. The firm only produces when marginal cost is rising. That's why I say to you, if I go into a viable restaurant, a restaurant that actually has any hope of surviving, it is not shut down, and I walk in on Friday night, assume Friday night is a good night. If I come into the restaurant when the restaurant is relatively full, I know my meal is costing more than the meal before me, because the cost of an additional meal is going up. I know that, there would have to be as many people in the restaurant for that to happen. The restaurant could never be producing a number of meals where the last meal produced had fallen marginal cost. Everybody? So no matter how strange that seems, it could never happen. Okay, so we draw it therefore, for you guys, we don't need this thing. We only need marginal cost looking like this. This tells us what minimum average variable cost is. We know if the price falls below here, we're not producing. Now, by the way, this marginal cost here is equal to the marginal cost of a single firm, the supply function of a single firm. And the cost, the supply function of the industry is this. Marginal cost times the number of firms, right? Assuming all the firms are the same size. And they typically would be. You'll notice all restaurants are typically the same size. So that's one restaurant. That's the supply function of the first restaurant. And then this is another, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, whatever. This could be, say, 100 firms. Our scale is different here. This might be 100 meals. This is 10,000 meals. Everybody? The scale is different. But the marginal cost is derived, the supply curve of the individual firm is the marginal cost curve. All right? Okay, good. So now then, now I want you to begin, draw initial equilibrium with 0 economic profit. Okay, so do it. Show me the initial equilibrium with 0 economic profit. And as I said to you many times, this is the beauty of this course. If you can draw this stuff and you can understand it, it's beautiful. So, at what price, what must the price be? Don't worry about how to get the price yet. What must the price be to get 0 economic profit? It must be equal to what? Minimum average cost. So your first move might be to do this. You just draw this, like that, right? Over here. The price must be at minimum average cost. Therefore, demand, since we're competitive equilibrium, must be over here. There's the demand function. Then this is the original quantity. And this is the original output. So, now it turns out, we're going to call this long-run equilibrium. Later we'll see, we'll give it that name. This is the number of restaurants in Toronto. This is the Toronto restaurant business. Under the condition that this is the typical restaurant. It has like 100 seats. They all have 100 seats. They're all similar. Say, you don't have to even simplify it. And this is all the restaurants. There might be 1,000 restaurants in Toronto, right? So let's say, I'll say 1,000 restaurants. Like that. The individual output here is 100. This is the output of all the restaurants in Toronto. What is the number? What is the total market output in Toronto? 100,000. Right, everybody? One restaurant produces 100. 1,000 restaurants produce 100,000 meals a night. Okay, good. That's equilibrium. You show that the equilibrium price, the equilibrium output here. So this is the Toronto restaurant industry at equilibrium. Okay, now let's assume that we have a recession. What do you think? Do you think restaurants are an inferior good or a normal good? in general, I think they're normal, and some of them of course aren't. But in general, they're normal goods. So I'm gonna say the economy's in a recession. That means what is gonna happen if the Toronto restaurant industry is in equilibrium? If you look at it, you see each restaurant is making the average of the profit. That's the price, that's the output per day dollar. Now, there's a recession. How do we show the impact of a recession on this industry? Let's just not even bother with our diagram. If there's a recession in Toronto, what is that going to affect? What is that going to affect? Yeah, demand will fall. So now I want to ask you, what do you think will happen to the output of restaurants, all the restaurants in Toronto, if demand falls? Well, it's going to decrease, right? And in the short run, there's no change in the number of restaurants. So if all the output falls, what happens to the output of individual restaurants? It falls, just along with it, they're all the same. Here's a question that's not so obvious. What happens to the price of a meal in a recession in Toronto? What?
Goes down.
Yeah. Now, you people may never have seen this, but I can tell you during SARS it did come down. You know, for example, like when there's a recession in the U.S., then I go, great, I can get a good hotel in New York, cheap, and I can. I just go to New York, hang out at half price for a couple of days or whatever, come back here. So, being the jerk that I am, when SARS happened, I bet you was too busy thinking about it, but it was great. Like you could go almost anywhere in the province at half price. Nobody was out. In a recession, demand will fall. And it turned out, when you go to a restaurant, how often do you actually go? Imagine McDonald's, for example. It's a bad example, but do you think the price of McDonald's food ever goes down? You think it never goes down, right? They'll always hold it solidly. In a recession, it'll go down, right? Not because they want it to go down, because it's kind of stupid for it to go down. But here's what's going to happen. So let's just do this. Demand falls, thus, right? D1. There's a new equilibrium right here. Price falls. This is the prediction. Price will fall. Quantity will fall. Now notice, the output of the firm, although we found the equilibrium price by the information I gave you, we knew it was at minimum, the price dictates the output of the firm. So this firm is now producing here. Does the firm shut down, by the way? No, because they're above minimum, right? This is Q1. Sorry, that's Q1. All right. What is the economic profit and loss of this firm? Can you show me? Because you're going to need to show me on this exam. Yeah. P0. What do we have to find to get economic profit and loss? What do we have to find, first of all? The what? The average cost. Everybody focus on that. That's very good. So we want average cost. And make sure the average cost is right there. Not somewhere else. It's the average cost at this output. It can be a little bit sloppy, but as long as your intentions are there, right? Average cost. And therefore, well, I'll just put it like this. This is AC0. And you can see, by the way, if I just use, I can bring price over here. This is P0. And what is this? Is this an economic loss or a profit or what? Is this an economic loss or an economic profit? An economic. This is an economic loss. Now that's worth, I want 6 marks to you in this upcoming exam. If I ask you that, consider it really simple. You can figure that out on your own, couldn't you? Okay, let's get fancy now. Now I'm going to ask you to do something, and you have to be absolutely correct in the use of your diagram. And we're going to see what happens. And you have some information on this. This is the most important question. I will absolutely ask this question sooner or later. Because it has to be in the final, it has to be in the final. But we're just going to get this chunk out of the way now for the moment. All this. We start usually, just for simplicity's sake, we often start like this. Okay, once again, begin here. Now, here's what we're going to do here. And I need you, this is like basically, your like katas and karatas and like that, where all your moves are right here. If you make all these moves, everything comes together. So, let us see. Now, I want you, don't look at your friends, see if you can figure this out yourself. We are going to have, I'm going to tell you, we're going to have an increase in per unit costs, variable costs per unit of $1. So let's just pretend this is $10 right here. So restaurants in Toronto are $10. Let us say that the price of fuel, or the price of labor, or the price of electricity, or the price of meat, or whatever it is, goes up. These are all variable costs, such that every meal costs $1 more. Right? Good. Now let's see if you guys can figure this out. What do we move first? Each meal costs $1. Oh, I'll even help you out. This is actually Guruji in some ways. There's $11. All right. Now, since we talked about costs, let's begin in the cost side. We don't have to, but let's begin there. Okay, draw something. Every unit costs $1 more. The 10th unit, the 50th unit, the 100th unit costs $1 more. What happens to average cost, for example? What do you think? If every unit costs $1 more, how does the average of every unit change? Goes up by $1. So average cost goes straight up, right? The minimum is still at the same output. You can be sloppy there, but better not to be. So right here, just draw it like this. Like that. The average goes up by 1 unit. What about marginal cost? What do you think happens to it? Huh? If every meal costs $1 more, what happens to marginal cost? Function of marginal cost. Owner.
Also goes up by $1, the cost through the minimum.
Yeah. So it'll go through like this. You would basically have this. It goes up by $1. Straight up, everybody. Straight up. All right. Good. So that's what happens to the cost function of the firms. Now, here's where the money is. Don't screw up. I'm coming around to look. What's your next move? Okay, right. So remember, the supply function is the marginal cost function. Never forget. I mean, we went through a lot today, but that's what you got to remember. The supply function is the marginal cost function. It has to shift up by $1. So go ahead and do it. I want to see the supply function shift up by $1. Yeah, right? No, it's Huh? I mean, I'm sorry. Let's see. What's effective? Oh, no, you've got a little bit sloppy. You should use a different diagram. It makes it a little different. Let's see. No. Yes. What do you got? Ah, my man, you gotta do it. That's why you couldn't do it on the board. You gotta do it. What do you got? Nice. Yeah, that's good. All right, everybody. This one you all know how to do. We pounded away at it. The supply function shifts straight up by $1 because every unit costs $1 more. Naturally, a typical mistake is that people do this just as they did with the per unit tax, because this is the same as a per unit tax. And that, of course, is wrong. You got to shift it straight up like this. Right? Straight up. And we'll call that that. Right? So therefore, in the short run, the firms try to pass on the cost to their customers. The customers don't want to buy that much at that price. So then the price falls and they get to an equilibrium here.